not supposed to have done that, you know. I just wanted to see if the guitar was in tune. I can't get the high notes now. My voice broke. The last time my voice broke, I was 16. It was a Palm Sunday, 1936. And the rector said to the choir master, I would like an anthem from the Messiah next week. I know that my Redeemer liveth. The choir master looked at me and I looked at him and had to get our copy of the Messiah out. He said, can you practice on Monday night? I said, yes. Practice on Tuesday night? Yes. Wednesday night service on practice night? Yes. Thursday we couldn't get the church. Friday was the Good Friday, couldn't get in. So he said, can you come Saturday morning? So I gave up my cricket and football and went to church. And he was at the organ and I was down. Only the two of us in the minster. So we had a really good practice. And at one stage he said, I think we've got it now, Gibson. Let's go through it. So we started, I know that my Redeemer liveth. And I had a couple of bars rest and I looked up and the church was full of people. And I stopped singing. And he said, what's wrong now, Gibson? I said, there's people in the church. He said, my God, I forgot about the weddings. I think, are we all in now? Get a move on here, sir, I will have to leave you. Get a move on here, sir, I will have to leave you. That's how I woke up. And when I looked over, there was a destroyer below me, and one of the officers shouting through the megaphone, get a move on, we'll have to leave you. Well, I felt like saying, well, we're travelling as fast as we can. Reminds me, my wife's favourite joke was, we were on the dance floor and she looked up at him and said, I'm only here for the weekend. He said, well, I'm dancing as fast as I can. So I felt like shouting, we're travelling as fast as we can. You see, the Asia was really called the Empress of Asia. And it had carried troops in the First World War. Our colonel went on board in Bombay. I had a look at it, he came back, he says, I'm not taking my regiment on there. It's filthy and falling to pieces. But Churchill had different ideas and we had to get on board. That's how I woke up that day, because I always slept on board. I didn't like sleeping below. I would take a blanket up and fall asleep watching at the stars, and I enjoyed that. Well, next time I looked out, they'd gone. We were on our own, left at the mercies of the Japanese. And the next day I was in the bow of the ship, one of my favourite places. I was looking back, thinking, what a marvellous day it is. Lovely scenery. There were the islands with the palm trees waving across those silvery sands. And I thought, well, things couldn't be better. And then 27 Japanese planes came across. And before I could shout a warning, huge spouts of water on that side, and huge spouts of water on that side, deep thuds as they burst. How on earth they missed it? Two come down like that, damaging slightly on either side, and yet missing us in the middle. Well, we had a mutiny then. All the stokers, it was a coal-burning ship, all the stokers mutinied. They came out on deck, they wouldn't go down, so we started to slope even worse than we were before. The colonel said, well, I want to volunteer to stoke. And everybody in our regiment moved forward. He had a job to pick somebody out. Right. Anyhow, the captain, he taught the stokers to go back. Now, The next day, 5th of February, the Japs then knew that we were on our own and were an easy target. And for 2 hours, every gun on our ship fired and fired and fired. We worked overtime. They were trying to get, the bombers were trying to, and it took them 2 hours before they finally hit us. The bomb went straight through the deck, through the officers' quarters, killed an officer, blinded a bottom officer, and went straight into the engine room, and in no time at all there were flames and smoke, and we were all coughing with smoke. And we found that the only safe place was right in the bow of the ship. I was fascinated by what had went on then. The bombers turned their attention on the Felix Roussel. That was a French ship full of our lads, the Northumberland Fusiliers, and they were a machine gun regiment. Well, I was watching the planes come down, and those machine gunners, everyone firing up. There were hundreds of, what do they call them, tracer bullets flying in the sky with Blackpool illuminations at the end. And after a while, one of their planes got down and dropped a bomb on the Felix Roussel. It started a fire. And you know what? The next Jap plane came down to drop a bomb, dropped it on the water tank and helped to put the fire out. Things got worse on our ship, and it was decided, the colonel stood up and he said, right, I've had a talk with the captain, and we've decided to abandon ship. In the distance is a pall of black smoke. That is Singapore. The Japs have just set fire to the oil. Right. So I want you chaps to get overboard and swim in that direction. Swim. I've never been out of my depths in the bath. And you wanted me to swim 8 or 10 miles? Well, one thing, when I got in the water, it was warm water. Was I pleased? But I did all the practices I'd done on land, lying on one of those benches in the gym. And then I started to think, you know, that black smoke, would I be able to see it at night time? Oh, no then. If I could swim 1 mile one day, yeah, I'll be in Singapore next week. Then I thought back and I said, you know, I don't know why I joined why did I join the army? Well, in 1939, I was working from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the factory. Then on Saturdays, 8 o'clock to 5:30. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night and Friday night, I went to night classes. So I only had Thursday night, so I joined the Territorials. That was my Thursday night going. And then August the 26th, 1939, we went for our 2 weeks camp at Whitby. Well, do you know how long we lost it? 2 days. And then they made us into regulars because we knew that war was imminent. So I was in the army before this declared war on Germany. I was 19-year-old and I got my first stripe anyhow. Very, very cold January 1940. 500 of us on parade. After roll call, I heard the sergeant shout, "Fall out ranks, Bomber Lee Gibson." That was me. I thought, what have I done? When I went out, he said, "Pack your kit, son, you're going to Catterick." Now, going to Catterick in those days was like going to prison. It was a terrible place, Catterick. And when I got there, it was covered with ice and snow. It wasn't like prison, it was like Siberia. First morning, I looked to find where the lectures were going to be. I opened the door, and when I looked in, there was about a dozen officers standing. I thought, I've come to the wrong place. I was about to go, and about a dozen sergeants turned up. So I went in and I sat at the back out the road. Now, leisure times, the officers went to the officers' mess, the sergeants went to the sergeants' mess, and I was in a right mess myself. A fortnight after the course finished, I got a letter, and in huge block letters across the top, it said, "Well done, youngster." Every one of my marks was above 95%. And he said underneath, "You were the youngest on the course, you were the lowest in rank, but you were the highest in attainment." So he gave me another strike. What I wanted to do was to go abroad, but kept putting us off, sending us down to Norfolk, sent us on the Norfolk coast to stop the Germans coming. Some of them did come one day, but they were that cold and wet. We offered them cocoa and coffee, and they didn't like our coffee. There were only 5 of them, they were in a dinghy that had been shot down. Then I was on the advance party to go up to Scotland, and there it was another place like Siberia. I used to boil a pail of water that with snow and get that much soap and have a shave. Then came the order to go to the Clyde, and in the Clyde we got onto this liner called the Strathhead. They gave me the job of looking after the Bren guns. The Bren gunners were in square boxes, just big enough for 2 of them, together with the Bren gun. Well, it was all right, I could find them during the day, but pitch black at night I had a job, especially as there was a storm blowing, and at one time I was blown off my feet and I lay on the... And the next morning we learnt that during the night in the storm we crashed with the Stirling Castle, another troop ship, and both were so... Well, they were so badly that I had to go back to the Clyde for repairs, so I didn't get abroad again. They sent us fire watching in Glasgow. Then the Luftwaffe turned their attention to Liverpool, so we dashed down to Liverpool to put fires out there. And one raid I lost 3 of my friends. They were killed outright. And while in Liverpool, there was Lime Street Station was the only place where there was a canteen. And there were 3 things on the menu. There was toast, 1 penny, or beans, 2 pennies, or the deluxe one, beans on toast, 4 pence. And it was while I was having the beans on toast, I saw this huge notice. "Your country needs you." It was one of those. Young men wanted to be trained as pilots. The Air Force, I thought that's. So I didn't tell anybody in the army, but I applied to join the Air Force. And I've got a travel warrant to go to Cardington in Bedfordshire. I don't know if you've ever been to Bedfordshire, Cardington. And I went down there thinking I would just go there and they would interview and I would get back in time. For 1 minute to 12 you had to be back in the army. Right. But when I went down there was another lad there in army uniform. He was from Newcastle, Wallsend, they called the place. And they kept us for 3 days. All kinds of exercises, all kinds of tests, mental and physical. And then I got a paper saying, this man has passed fit to be trained as a pilot in a 2-seater night fighter. I didn't even know that, 2-seater night fighter. But this other chap that was with me from Wallsend, he said, you know, I don't think they'll understand me because of my accent. And the airman roundabout said, now, can you say actually? If you can say actually, you'll get through. Poor laddie couldn't say actually. So he didn't get through, and I felt so sorry for him that I wrote a poem about him. I'll try and give it to you in his accent. I hope you can understand it. When I was just a nipper, I'd never thought out about talking. I just opened my mouth, and words would come out. Well, it was easier than eating or walking. When I was 5, I had to go into the infant school. Miss Bishop was a tortoise, you know. She never said that buttes were boots, and water must be water. Why, we're Parsifal Hall. Can you still understand this? But really it doesn't matter, because we'd say the proper words to her, and then we'd go and plunging our buttes through the water. In junior school, we met Miss Wynne. Her diction was fantastic. She rounded our vowels and mouthed diphthongs with lips that seemed elastic. But when we passed 11 plus, we stopped pronunciation. We had no time for fancy talk in secondary education. It was maths, algebra, and the Industrial Revolution. And we spoke a few words of French and quite forgot the English elocution. Then when we left school and started work, we found they all talk rough. And if we said words the proper way, they'd say, "You look off." Then came that war with Hitler and full mobilisation, and I had a gun and demon bit to save the British nation. I wanted to be a pilot, and I went before the board, and I passed first class in everything, except for jumping for one word. So I've spent 6 years in the army. I've seen the war right through. I've always worn the khaki when I wanted to wear the blue. And the army boots are killing us, and my socks are wringing my water. But I'm getting demobbed a week today, so actually it doesn't bloody matter. Then was the problem. How to get back to my unit without anybody seeing it. But you know, when I finally got back, they hadn't missed me. Well, I was a bit annoyed at the time, but what they were doing, they were all getting ready. The next morning we had to get down to Avonmouth. We were going abroad again. We had a rough passage on this ship called the Ormsay, and we joined another convoy going from the Clyde. Now, they said we were going to fight Rommel in North Africa. Now, when you look at a map, the British Isles is up there and North Africa's down there, so we should have been going that way. But we were going that way. And halfway along, our convoy left us. And then suddenly, what a lovely surprise. The US Navy sent out destroyers, cruisers, planes, everything. And they looked so bright and clean, and they took us to Halifax, Nova Scotia. We weren't in the army, in the war then, in those days. We left our ship, the Ormsay, we walked along the quayside, and up another gangway, and found ourselves on an American ship called the Joseph T. Dickman. And they treated us well. We had better food on that American ship than we ever had in the army. We sailed south, called in at Puerto de España, the port of Spain. Then we crossed the line, and what a show they put on the amount that, what they call them, Lady Godivers and King Neptune and Davy Crockett. They were all dressed up. We all got ducked in the water, and we were polywogs made into shellbacks. We were heading for Cape Town, and just a day off Cape Town, the Japs attacked Pearl Harbor. And what a change in the atmosphere on that ship. A lot of those on the crew had friends in Hawaii at the time. So when we reached Cape Town, all those ships of theirs left to do other jobs. And we were taken across the Indian Ocean, escorted by one British ship, the Dorset ship. We arrived in Bombay on New Year's Eve. Half a dozen, I thought, oh, now New Year's Eve. What about the New Year's Eve dance? We got onto the harbour, onto the quayside in Bombay, and there wasn't a soul in sight. And it was so quiet. We said, oh, we'll just have a walk. And we walked for about half an hour, and then we heard music. Our walk became a run. And we arrived at this place, beautifully lit up with the name Greens on top, and heard the dance music going on. And when we looked down at the dance floor, it was packed, and not a single woman in sight. The army wearing navy hats were dancing with the navy wearing navy hats. The band was playing the Lambeth War over and over again while our lads were showing them what to do. So that was our New Year's Eve dance. We went up country and did some exercises at a place called Ahmednagar, and then went back to Bombay, where, as I say, we had to board this ship called the Empress of Asia. I'm still in the sea, and I'm wondering, did I do right joining the army? Should I have stopped in the Air Force while I had the chance? You know, after the war, during the war, my mother got letters from the army saying I was missing, believed to be a prisoner, and then another letter saying I'd failed to turn up after several requests, so I've been put down as a deserter. So I was a prisoner in the army and a deserter in the Air Force. It was a bit to do, you know. It wasn't easy. After a while, I was beginning to lose heart. Turned on my back, looked round at one time, not a soul in sight. You know, the sea can be a very lonely place. So I kept on going. And then suddenly, one time I turned on, and I was sure there was a vessel in the distance. So, and my heart was in my mouth. What if it went away before I got there? But eventually, I got within distance, and I found there were other people doing the same thing, trying to reach this vessel. I couldn't climb on the vessel. Two sailors dropped a rope down. I sat in the rope, and they lifted me up. We got to Singapore, and was I pleased to be on dry land? But there was a rather playful breeze blowing on the quayside, and I was only wearing a shirt. And I had to refuse the coffee offered to me by those very well-dressed Chinese ladies. By the end of the day, they kitted us out, and I was given a gun, an anti-tank gun. We only had 4 on the island, and we were the crack troops, so we got them. We were told the Japs had landed at Serangoon, so we dashed as fast as we could. We had an old Chinese van with a rope tying our gun on, got to Serangoon, spent all night, nobody there. We then were told the Japs had landed at Bucketiba Road, so we dashed there and we put our guns up on Bucketiba Road. Sorry about this. Well, the chaps were coming down the causeway onto Bucketima Road, which led straight into the middle of Singapore. So I put my gun facing on Bucketima Road. And
careful, in case you need it.
For the next 9 or 10 days, we were bombed, we were shelled, we were sniped at. One of our officers was killed by a bullet from a sniper. A sergeant put his hand out to try and help him. He got the bullet through his wrist. They were very accurate. And then one time, after about 10 days, things went quiet, and we heard that we were surrendering.